We'll be beginning with what I name as the problem with the individual. I think, therefore I am. I think that's almost as famous as anything else. The cogito ergo sum, the Cartesian premise that seems to be quite alive in how we understand ourselves as units of experience. There's a sense that our consciousness comes from a stable self, and that this stable self is detached from everything else, and that it is from this space, this isolated space, this gilded interiority, that we meet the world and we meet our problems and we meet our solutions. The problem of the individual is articulated as the increasing difficulty in situating that experience as isolated. We are coming to understand that we are not as individual as we think. This doesn't seem new to say. Africans have always had Ubuntu. We've always seen ourselves as connected. But we must stay with this idea and not to mimify it or fetishize it. What does it really mean to say that we are connected or that we are entangled? What does it mean to situate bodies within a larger mycorrhizal assemblage of becomings? What does it mean to deterritorialize our bodies, not as finished events, but as practices in the making? Part of what we'll be doing in this module is exploring the idea of institutional psychotherapy, which I'll speak about in the next section of this module, and the history of certain prestigious insights, Deleuze-Guattarian philosophies, and how they are, in my opinion, really important points of departure today as we speak about the world, its failings, and especially how healing is increasingly caught up in the normal pathological spaces. Normopathy was a coinage of Guattari. How healing is increasingly caught up in the normal pathological societies we find ourselves in. In 1945, August 6th and 9th, the US deployed nuclear bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, respectively. And some would argue a month after that, the Second World War ended on a ship. And the evil guys signed their surrender. And 1945 was done. In recent studies, however, the radioactivity of 1945 still pulses in our veins. So if you're listening to me and you were born after, say, 2017, your body is already participating in the radioactivity of 1945. That temporality still breathes in us. Because what happened was the nuclear bomb irradiated the atmosphere, and with carbon-14. And these elements escaped into the sky, into flesh, the flesh of plants and animals, into water bodies. And then we ate those bodies. We ate those animal bodies. We drank from those water bodies. And we passed these bodies of radioactivity down generations. 1945 didn't end in 1945. 1945 still breathes today in a remarkable way that speaks to the fact that we are not as isolated as we think we are. The problem of the individual was a concern, a lasting concern for philosophers that we'll be considering in this module. Felix Guattari was only 15 when the Second World War supposedly ended. And he was alive to the ways the idea of the individual becomes amenable to fascist uprisings. It's difficult to control spillage. It's difficult to form a regime of governance over a fungal entity or some kind of mycelial assemblage. It's increasingly easy, or it's, I would say, absolutely easier to do that when you can isolate all those tensions within a convenient framework called the individual. So the history of the philosophies we will be dancing with in this module and in the course at large is the history of a refusal to centralize the individual. Guattari was famous for saying, for instance, a schizophrenic out for a walk is a more important and useful model than a neurotic resting in an analyst's chair. Basically what he was saying was the model of therapy was still caught up in its fascination with the individual. And because of that, it was given to fascist tendencies. And this played out in the invention and the propagation of asylums as prisons for those who didn't fit the idea of the perfect or the proper citizen. And this was perpetuated post-Second World War in the Vichy regimes of France. And so what we want to do is stay with the trouble of these philosophical instigations to re-examine the idea of the individual and to notice how we are already appellated and summoned by something exceeding the individual. Or many points of departure are present here. Feminist eco-critical materialisms speak about how we are ecological selves, how the binary between the human individual and the context for the human individual needs to be composted. Yoruba indigenous philosophies look to the sky and to soil and to furniture and to archetypes and to ancestry and to texture and to intensity and thresholds to understand how individuals work. When I was growing up, there was this joke about getting into trouble with your parents. That if you plucked out just a strand of hair from your eyelash, an eyelash, if you pluck that out and put that on the floor at the entrance, preferably, where your parents could step on it, they would forget everything you did wrong that day. Right? I remember my friend doing this. He was so anxious. We were teenagers then. He was so anxious about breaking something that was dear to his father. His father, who was a military general, left the apartment and said when he came back, he was going to give my friend a beating or something like that. And my friend was so anxious about this. He plucked everything out. He threw the entire, his eyelashes on the floor, hoping that his father would step on it. Apparently, his father had forgotten the incident, but when he got back and saw all the hairs on the floor, he remembered that his son had done something wrong and then beat him, which still makes me laugh. But the concept, the idea, the philosophies that traveled in our ordinary day lives was the philosophy of imbrication and intercarnation. That something as vanishingly small and insignificant as an eyelash, a strand of hair from some part of your body could affect forgetting in someone else. May seem spiritistic to some of you, and yet there's an intelligence there that is not easily dispensed with or dismissed. The problem of the individual is the problem of our incarceration within modernity. The problem of the individual is the problem of categoricity. The problem of the individual is the problem of capital letters. Coloniality is about thinking in capital letters. But what these philosophies are inviting us to consider is that bodies travel in lowercase. We don't think or move in capital letters. We breathe and move and eat and do the things of the world in lowercase. And to think in lowercase is to think in terms of relationships and relationality and practices and processuality, not in terms of categories. Categories are useful. We need categories. We need settlement. We need modalities and approaches that can be passed down to others. We need disciplinary boundaries. But there are moments when those boundaries start to eat themselves, when healing doesn't work anymore. I think I remember only some time ago, people who visited Burning Man were inundated with rain, and so they couldn't leave the premises of the festival because it became so muddy that the ritual of walking, literally mobility, was prohibited. They couldn't walk from place to place, right? There was no grip, there was no take. The idea of the individual is in such a state, in not just my opinion, but the opinion of many scholars around the world, many indigenous thinkers. And that if the individual isn't taking, we need some kind of experiment to stay at the borders of this trouble so that we can walk away from the couch, in the words of Guattari, and find new ways of being in the world.